think in the beginning of our planning session in September, we didn't quite understand exactly how important our shared experiences were, and we thought it would be great to take kids on there, but we didn't really expect the growth that would come out of it. So we've had a variety in this course alone. I think we're on our third or fourth sort of get together, and they've looked different each site. It's been a photo shoot here, another photo shoot there. But getting the kids together on a face-to-face level and making that human connection, we've really sort of hoped to build understandings between the similarities and differences of our kids, our communities, and the hope was that we could build relationships between learners that led to collaboration further down the line. So through building those relationships in really sort of informal and experiential settings, it created a really high level of trust. And all of a sudden, after the kids started to meet each other, it almost allowed them to take risks. They were commenting, they were engaging more in each other's digital portfolios and on the blog site, and all of a sudden they were able to take those risks, give ideas, give and receive feedback, and not perceive it as judgmental, and brainstorm together. So the picture that you see here was amazing, to say the least. We worked with a professional photographer, Graham Osborne. I took my class, the Whitman class, and the Lillooet class, and we went to Harrison Hot Springs overnight. We spent 2 days with Graham Osborne doing what a professional photographer would. We spent a session with him. We wandered around on school bus taking pictures and learning highly technical stuff. But to bring those kids together for such a really cool experience, built memories that they're going to draw on for a long time. And fascinating, I'm teaching social justice next semester via shared, same sort of model, via connected learning. And kids in my digital media class, after the Harrison Hot Springs trip, they were like, so, where are you taking me for the social justice trip, and are the other kids going to be there? So they're already looking down the pipe and seeing if they're going to have sustained interactions with those kids. And I mean, they are on Facebook and on Twitter, but I really like that we've seen some sustainable relationships develop, and I think that it just comes down to that human element. You need to know someone as a person, you need to spend some time face-to-face, and I think that if you can layer virtual interactions with sort of physical face-to-face interactions, the relationship possibilities are really, really cool for students. So we took a few steps to get feedback throughout the project in all stages of the project. We had some goals from the start that were based on a bunch of feedback sessions. We had a feedback session back in September with all of the shared learning teachers and all of the different subjects where we felt that there was a push to go to a new project-based sort of field, that there was a push to make it more student-driven and focused, and that just providing content via a screen was not creating a community and it wasn't lasting or powerful. We had a meeting with all of the shared learning principals who do these connected learning projects to see what they were seeing in their classes. We had ongoing dialogue between teachers within the project. We had ongoing dialogue with our students. We did some student surveys. We collected a lot of anecdotal evidence, some informal stuff that happened along the way. But I really found that it wasn't the kind of data that could be boiled down to numbers. It was really qualitative data and captured in terms of stories. So throughout those stories, we found 4 major emerging themes within our classrooms. And I say we because I feel like we were a larger community, even though it was me doing the study. We saw that there was actually a legitimate extended community happening, which is really exciting. And from a teacher perspective, the professional learning and authentic collaboration was really refreshing. We also saw increased engagement. This was evident in student comments and in teacher observations of students. And we're starting to see a shift in assessment practices. And I'll explain all of those in context in a few seconds here. The community that we've created is really growing, and I would love to see what it would look like if we could have the same group of students for a year and to see how far we can get it in. But even in the few months that we've been together, I think that students have really enjoyed extending their peer groups and meeting both teachers and students in different communities. Several students participating in the project have expressed that the face-to-face connections planned throughout this semester have enabled them to meet new friends that they think they'll keep in touch with after. Many have developed connections and friendships that extend beyond the classroom environment, and this is really valuable to students who live in isolated rural communities where peer groups can be really limited. One of the teachers in the project stated that creating opportunities for multi-school communication has created a kinship in my class. and among other schools in their district, and that opportunity has opened up doors of friendship for their students and to form peer groups from other schools. And it's really exciting when you see what you're hoping for actually happening. And I think it's sort of formed a community within the teachers too. I think we function as a really great team, and we're not a team that's ever worked before together. So having structured collaboration time and having goals to work on together as a team really sort of strengthen our teacher network. So we're seeing an extended community at all layers, between students and teachers, between students and students, and between teachers and teachers. From a teacher perspective, and not just mine, because we did talk to other teachers, the professional learning and opportunities for collaboration has just been fantastic. I think that through the project, teachers have been really provided with opportunities to collaborate and learn from each other that they didn't have before. And I think you see it a lot in teaching, that teachers work in isolation from one another and don't have opportunities to watch each other teach. So when we do this via video conferencing, it provides teachers who are working in similar positions to watch and participate in lessons taught by their colleagues on a regular basis. It's like having daily Pro D in your classroom. So as a result, teachers who have participated in the process have become their own learners, and they're working together to build their own skills as teachers. And it's got a built-in layer of accountability that the team pushes forward because everybody wants it to succeed. One of the quotes from one of the teachers here said that the best part about teaching this way has been having a window into the classrooms of my teaching colleagues, and I've thoroughly enjoyed seeing how they work, the strategies they use, how they respond to classroom challenges. I love watching how they plan and implement lessons, and I love finding out what inspires them. And I find that really powerful. And I think what else it's done, it's really found an avenue to share practice and promote innovative practice. So what I think it's done, it's promoted innovation, experimented with student-centered learning, with sort of constructivist approaches to teaching lessons through video conferencing. And I think that because the team has worked hard to build a supportive network where they feel comfortable to take risks, they are. And they're trying different approaches to engage students through the vehicle of technology. And it's great when you have a team that's trying to take risks to improve the learning for their students. This is another quote from a teacher. It said, "I think our project has served to break down walls and has made me more willing to take risks and change what I do. I think that when you put yourself out there to 90 students on the video conferencing screen, you're in a vulnerable place. But at the same time, I think this is a place where you can grow in ways you didn't imagine." So for me, it's been quite powerful. And what I like is that different teachers bring different strengths, and to be able to pull from the strengths of your colleagues in a way that supports kids is really exciting for your practice. When the team looked at assessment for the course, we again had a focus on making it student-centered, and it involved a lot of choice. So when I look at the ways that my students are representing their work, while they all have a digital portfolio of some variety, that different. Some have a blogger page, some have just requested to use their Instagram feed because they find that a little bit more meaningful. But when I think about how the assessment is actually shifted, it's become sort of assessment as dialogue, and it's kind of ongoing. So I mentioned it before, but they're submitting work for a greater purpose. They're not just submitting it for a mark. They're not just submitting it to go through their hoops. There's been a lot of opportunities for self-assessment and peer assessment through participation in online discussions or venues where they share their work with their peers. And I think the authentic audience also provides students with a lot of accountability, and it creates an awareness that they're writing for a larger audience, that they're not just completing an assignment, but that they're publishing, and that it matters. A quote from a teacher: "Having an authentic audience makes students more aware of what they put out there. They respond to each other's online submissions, and they know it will be read and appreciated by someone other than their teacher." And I think we know that kids really value feedback from their peers, especially teenagers, and that the value and the feedback that they're getting from their peers is more important or just as important as the feedback they can be getting from their teachers. So we're shifting the power balance a bit, and we've really tried. We have a long way to go, but we tried to shift it from less teacher focused, less teacher directed, to a more student focused approach. Our classroom didn't really look like normal classrooms look like, and I think that's okay, but they can be difficult at first because many of the sort of routines and expectations and landscapes from traditional classes and courses just aren't there. There's no center, there's no a single space where everything is held. Conversations are fragmented from our YouTube page, from our class blog to our digital portfolio, and the teacher isn't the center. And that's a shift for teachers and that's a shift for students. But we know that networks are different from the process of everyday classrooms, and I feel like we were working really hard to have a network-based class. If I could make some recommendations based on our successes, which certainly doesn't mean that a cookie-cutter approach will work, because I think everything is best practice within a context, but this is just what worked for us. Regular structured collaboration time for teachers, totally essential. To have time to sit together face-to-face, to plan it out, really made the in-between times less awkward. So we had time to reflect, we had time to sit together and work. It wasn't in addition to our day-to-day task, it was within our daily task. I think that the second thing that was probably the most important was just having multi-layered connections. And I think we did that really well within the project. We had so many points of access for students to share and discuss and see their work displayed. In terms of online spaces, we had our blog, we had our YouTube page, we had student digital portfolios. They would have sort of synchronous discussions while commenting on each other's pages or texting each other during class. So that really combined to make powerful connections. They had a digital portfolio that they could share, that they could have some ownership in and share with the world and publish. I think all of those things are student-centered because it gives them access points and it honors their voice. Project-based really worked for us. We found it was easier and more beneficial for our kids to go deep and have sharing points along the way than just sort of surface scratch content. And I think the last piece was just to add to that multiple layers was the face-to-face communications and connections. Those shared experiences were absolutely crucial. I think having those multiple access points really drove it home, and getting to know people as students and as humans was really, really important. So I think that making sure that you're not connecting at a single access point would be the single most powerful recommendation I could make coming out of this particular project.